Hey guys, it's Lukas. I have a tutorial starting at 9. It's currently 8:57. So let me run over to that and catch you in a sec. So at this point I'm walking to my tutorial with Marianne.
Hello! It's an Old English tutorial where we will translate a poem and discuss its stylistic and thematic features.
So it's a bit windy, but I've just finished my tutorial and I'm heading back to my room. I'm with Marianne.
It's a very good tutorial.
Did you enjoy it? What did you discuss?
We achieved very much. We translated 55 lines of The Wanderer.
Lovely.
And Lukas had done 5 more lines than I had, and he really helped me out.
Hey guys, so I'm back in my room and I thought I'd just introduce myself quickly before we get started on day-to-day life in Oxford, what goes on in the day of a busy student in these short, compact 8-week terms. So my name is Lukas and I'm studying English language and literature at Christ Church in Oxford. I'm an international student from Malta, having just arrived here in October of 2021. So far, I'm loving it. I've got great friends, great tutors, and just great social life in general, getting involved with extracurricular activities and really enjoying my course in general. English is a great course and there's just so much variety to it, so much that you can play with, and honestly, I'm loving it so far. Although there are lots of struggles in the busy Oxford life, if one is able to find a good balance, I think it's an amazing experience, and hopefully you may find this video helpful. Let's start with a room tour and then just see where the day takes us. Let's go. Yeah, so this is my room. We've got a monitor, we've got the coffee machine that has helped me through a lot of essay crises. We've got bed, bathroom, everything you really need, and a nice view. It's a sunny day, there's Tom Tower all the way in the distance. This is pretty much a standard fresher room at Christ Church, and honestly, it's more than enough. So I've got some free time now, and usually what I do during this time depends on what I've got going on. But right now, I'm going to watch a lecture, write some notes, prepare for an essay I have coming up. So usually we have about 1 essay set every week. This depends on course and on college, but Christ Church English, it's about 1 essay every week and 3 tutorials every week. Although on odd weeks, we do have 2 tutorials and 1 class. The difference between a tutorial and a class is that a class is about 7 students with 1 tutor who just speaks and teaches, while a tutorial is a much more in-depth conversation, which is in a way more free-flowing and more intimate. It's 2 students and 1 tutor, and you can really go in depth, really have a proper conversation as though you were speaking to a friend, but in an academic setting. And these are extremely productive, helpful things that you only really get at Oxford and Cambridge. So we've got more coffee brewing, the vinyl is spinning, and I'm here with Iona Monroe, another student at Oxford, studying English
And
Italian.
thank you.
Joint schools. How do you find joint schools, Ions?
A lot of work. I do much more than you do. I'd like to point that out, with a lot more contact hours, but it's very fun.
All right. Yeah, that's Iona. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
So I'm on my way to the Oxford Union. As an elected member of committee, I have to attend a meeting every Monday for about an hour. It's a really great extracurricular activity. The Oxford Union is an amazing place and one of the most interesting things that I've got involved with in my time at Oxford. grabbed a nice coffee and I'm walking through the city centre on the way to the Oxford Union. So I just finished my meeting and I'm heading to Sainsbury's to grab some food. I'm a bit tired, but looking forward to getting some work done.
Sake, man.
Hey guys, I'm back in my room and I just wanted to chat to you a little bit about what the course entails, English language and literature, what we've been doing thus far, last term, this term, and the way that the course is kind of split up. We have 3 papers per term. That's Old English, we've done that last term and carrying on this term. That's translating texts from ranging from Beowulf to poetry like The Wanderer. Just really interesting stuff. It's a bit like a different language, and this is one of the unique things about English at Oxford, is that you get to study a very, very different form of English. It requires lots of hard work, but it is very interesting and is something that has appealed to me quite a lot. The second part of the course is theory, and that involves theories of literature, theories of language, studying critical papers on how literature affects the way we think, how language affects the way we think, how certain words that we use affect society in general. Really interesting topics like the differences between history and literature. So if you have a diary entry, for example, from Christopher Columbus, can you count that as literature, or is that more on the history side? Where does one draw a line? Loads of interesting questions. For me personally, one of my favorite was the question of the death of the author. So Roland Barthes' pioneering text on intention of an author and how much that matters. So the third aspect of the course is then literature in the Victorian period and in the modern period. So we did Victorian literature last term, and this term we're doing modern literature. So that's Virginia Woolf, W.H. Auden, T.S. Eliot. And the way this works is that we have a class one week and then a tutorial the next week. We get one essay every other week for that paper. That is probably my favorite paper, just because we really get to engage with specific texts and close analysis of specific texts. For example, Walt Whitman, where you would get Leaves of Grass and closely analyze it and then discuss that in certain tutorials, write an essay about it. My experience with the course has been that we are given lots of freedom. At least for modern English and modern literature and Victorian literature, we can write essays about whatever we want. We can choose the title, we can choose the texts, and I can choose specific things to pick out. I wrote an essay recently on the unreliable narrator, how that affects the way we view a text, how does that affect the message that the writer is trying to convey. So interesting, and interesting to me specifically. It is something I like to engage in, and that makes me more likely to work, because if there's something I do not enjoy, I'm less likely to put time and effort into it. And that is something that for me has been amazing, and why I've been loving university so much compared to sixth form and secondary school in general. Best of luck. I hope that was in some way helpful. I also recommend going online, student room, YouTube videos, just gaining as much knowledge as possible. I personally was not pushed towards Oxford by any of my teachers at school, so I felt I had to turn to the internet to gain as much information as possible on how to get involved. Don't worry if you feel you are disadvantaged, because perhaps you are an international student like I am. Oxford tutors do take that into consideration. I didn't do very well on my admissions test, nothing crazy, and it still all turned out fine. They understand that certain schools have different methods of teaching, certain countries put different focus on different aspects of English literature. What is important is that you show creativity, passion, and just critical thinking in general. There is so much choice. I would just recommend read what you enjoy as long as you are passionate about it. Oxford love passion, especially for something like English. They love creativity, and creativity comes from passion a lot of the time. Just read up on just a wide range of topics. I think range is one of the most important things you can focus on when it comes to preparing. In my opinion, one of the best books to read to prepare for Oxford is Meaning by Paul Elburn. This is a fantastic book, just really succinct, really good short chapters on a range of topics on how language affects meaning, and could prepare you very well for interviews, personal statement, admissions tests, that kind of stuff. Also, a wide range of primary texts is very important. Poetry, drama, novels, they're all very important. I read some Yeats. I'm a big fan of love poetry. So again, just focus on what you like to read. I read lots of Yeats love poetry, Pablo Neruda, even though it's not originally written in English. I spoke about the effects of translation in my interview, because for the theory paper in the course, you can speak about texts that were not originally written in English. So even though it is an English literature course, an English literature and language course, you can mention texts that were not originally written in English, although that is not the main focus. I personally wanted to really range across a wide period of time. So I personally read Utopia by Thomas More, and then I read 1984 by George Orwell, and one is a utopia, one is a dystopia. I read more dystopian novels such as The Handmaid's Tale, and I brought that into discussion in my personal statement. They asked me about it in my interview, and by reading a foundational text like Utopia, you can bring in philosophical arguments as well, such as Thomas Hobbes. In my opinion, reading up on philosophy is one of the best ways to impress tutors who will be interviewing you. I think philosophy is central to English literature, and especially in my course in the university, philosophy is brought up time and time again in tutorials, in classes, and in lectures. In terms of getting a wider understanding of philosophy of language and how that relates to English literature, I would recommend just Google searching, watching crash course videos on YouTube, and the main philosophers that I would focus on, or I did focus on personally, are Wittgenstein and Chomsky, mostly. My main piece of advice on how to keep stability when living in Oxford is to exercise a lot, to interact with nature, and to find a balance between social life and work. There are points all the time when you have to decide whether or not you should go out, whether or not you should finish an essay, and there are crucial moments that, when added up, can make a big difference on whether or not you have a successful term. So now I'm on my way to a coffee shop to meet my friend from St. Hugh's, have a coffee, chat, and just catch up in general.
Mine was very chill because he read my notes and was like, "Hey, you've done well with this."
So I'm heading back to the Oxford Union to help set up for tonight's speaker event. It's the Saudi ambassador to the UK, Prince Khalid bin Bandar Al Saud, a former Oxford University student. He will be discussing Saudi Arabia's foreign policy, and I'm really excited to hear what he has to say. So I just got a McDonald's. I'm back at Christchurch, back from the talk. And we're gonna go to Prees, although I probably won't go to the club. And we're waiting for Angelica to open the door. Jelly, you're on YouTube. And that's Angelica. Tom!
Everything's done.
Say hello.
Hello. Dougie's birthday breeze.
Yeah. So, after that, I'm heading back to my room to go sleep. It's been a long but productive day, and I hope you guys have gained some insight into life at Oxford. Good luck.